Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. This course will run for 4 weeks. Babarvani, Guru Nanak Sahib on War and Tyranny. In today's class, we will be studying the third Shabad from Babarvani, which is the Utterances on Babar, and Rag Asa. The first 45 minutes of this class will be led by lecturer Santbir Singh, after which we will have time for Q&A from the audience. Before I turn it over to Santbir, as always, I'll give a brief introduction. Santbir Singh is a research associate with SikhRI. He is currently doing his PhD in sociology at York University. His graduate research focuses on Sikh activism and the inherent relationship between SikhRI and anarchism, explored through historical and contemporary study of Sikh governance models, particularly the Sabad Khalsa. I'll turn it over to Santbir Singh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. It's wonderful having you back, Mavinder. And let's get started today. So in this week, we're going to be looking at the third Shabad. And if we have time, we will look at the fourth Shabad as well. And the third Shabad is really focused on a few big ideas. And one of those big ideas is how wealth corrupts, the corruption of wealth. And so we will be looking at that in this week's class. Let's start off by reading the Shabad. Like last week's Shabad, this is also an Astpadi. It is a 7-stanza Astpadi, so 7 stanzas plus a Rahau line. Asa Mahalla Pehla, Kaha so Khealat Bela Kore, Kaha Peri Sehnai, Kaso Teg Band Gad Derar, Kaso Lal Kawai, Kaso Arsia Mohbanke, Ethe Dise Nai, E Jag Tera Tu Gosai, Ek Kari Me Thap Uthape, Jarvad Dive Pai, Rahau, Kaso Kar Dar Mandap Mehla, Kaso Bank Sarai, Kaso Sej Sukhali Kaman, Jis Vekh Neend Na Pai, Kaso Pan Tamboli Harma, Hoya Chaya Mai, Is Jar Karan Kani Viguti, Injar Kani Khwai, Papa Bajo Hove Nahi, Moya Saath Na Jai, Jisnu Aap Khwai Karta, Khusle Changyai, Koti Hu Pir Vard Rahai, Ja Mir Sunaya Taya, Than Mukam Jale Bij Mandir, Much Koyar Ralaya, Koi Mughal na hoa anda, Kine na parcha laya, Mughal Patana pe ladai, Ran mein teg vagai, Unni tupik taan chalai, Unni hast chadai, Jinki chiri darge paati, Tinna mar na pai, Ek hindavani, Avr turkani, Patiani thakrani, Ikna peren sir khud पाटे इकना वास मसानी जिनके बंके करी न आया तिनक्यो देन बहानी आपे करे किराए करता किसनो आँख सुनाइए दुख सुख तेरे पाने होवे किसनो थे जाए रुआइए हुक्मी हुक्म चलाए विग से नानक लिखया पाइए हुक्मी हुक्म चलाए विग से Nanak Likhya Paye. So let's start off by looking at the first Pauri. So we're going to go through, like we did with the last two Shabads, Pauri by Pauri, and sort of talk about the big ideas and the big ideas of this Shabad. So, like the other Shabads, this Shabad was also believed to have been revealed in Ahmedabad, what used to be called the city of Saidpur, where Bhai Lalo lived. Guru Nanak witnessed the battle, and this Shabad, some scholars believe, and some traditional sources believe, was revealed by Guru Nanak after the battle was over. So after he had been released from prison by Babar, and he came back to the site of the battle, and he came back to see the situation of the city uh, after the battle was over, which makes sense if we look at these first few lines. So Guru Nanak is listing off all of these sort of symbols of royalty and wealth. Khel Tabela Kore. So the games, the stables, the horses. Senai or Shanai is a type of like clarinet, like a wind instrument that's used in South Asia. And that's what Guru Nanak is referencing in that second line of the second part of the first line. So, like, where are the instruments? Where are the horses? Where are all these things? And then the next line, Kaso te gabad gade rad, kasto lal kavai. Where are the beautiful red robes? Where are the sword belts made of beautiful pashmina? Excuse me, a little bit of a runny nose again today. I apologize. This happens to me sometimes. Kaso ad siya moho banke ete disse nahi. So those beautiful faces that looked into those beautiful mirrors, they're not visible here anymore. All those things that were so valued by the wealthy, by the elite of the time, none of those are visible anymore. Kaso kar dar mandap mehla, kaso bank sarai. So all these beautiful places where people stayed, like houses, their doors, the pavilions, the palaces, the beautiful inns, none of them. Where have they gone? Where is that beautiful bed? Where, and Guru Sahib Ji is using, speaking to a male audience in the Shabad, though the Shabad, of course, is meant for all audiences, but he's saying, where is this comfortable bed where your wife, who was so beautiful that you would not be able to sleep? You understand where Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is getting at, right? And so Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying, um, where is that beautiful bed? Where is your beautiful spouse? Where is that God? It's all gone away. Where are the betel leaf and the betel leaf sellers, the bond sellers? And where are the harems full of all those women for those wealthy men? Not all of them have vanished. So the first two lines are listing off these signs of wealth, these palaces, pavilions, horses, games, stables, all these things. Now, the next line, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji gets to his main point. Is jar karan kani viguti in jar kani khoi. That this wealth has ruined so much of humanity, and it has led so much of the world to be led astray. Because one cannot accumulate this level of wealth, especially in a society where inequality exists in such disparity. One cannot accumulate all that wealth without sin, meaning without bad conduct. Remember that when Bani uses sin, it's not in the Catholic sense of a sin that stays with you, with your soul forever and ever, that can only be forgiven by Jesus or something. The Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is using the word sin here to refer to negative behavior, negative practices, practices that are not in line with our true nature, our Guru-inspired nature. So all of this wealth that you spent so much time accumulating, and that you committed sins to accumulate, that you did bad things, that you exploited people to accumulate, it's not going to go with you when you're dead. And now this is obviously a very common idea in Bani, and a common idea in a lot of world traditions as well. The idea that your wealth that you accumulated in this life doesn't go with you. But I want us to imagine where Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is singing the Shabad, in the ruins of Saidpur, in the ruins of Ahmedabad. And in the ruins of Ahmedabad, seeing all of this wealth dispersed and destroyed, it's so powerful to be saying these lines. With the dead all around. And then Guru Nanak Sahib Ji makes a very interesting point in the third part of the third Pauri. Jisno aap khoi karta, khusle changyai. That we have to remember that even this act of being led astray, even this act of going against one's true nature, even this act of accumulating wealth to the detriment of yourself and society, even this act of uh, displaying all this wealth, this too was an act of the Creator. That Vaheguru Eko God is the one who led us to this behavior. And it is Vaheguru, it is Eko God, it is Karta Purkh, which takes away our virtues. And what does this mean? Let's think about this for a second. What is Guru Nanak Sahib Ji saying here? Well, he's bringing it back to that main idea in the Sikh tradition. This idea that nothing is outside of Vaheguru Sahib's hukum. That nothing is outside of Ik Oankar's sight. That nothing, not even a leaf, moves without Ik Oankar. And if that's true, then even these negative actions are occurring within the hukum of Ik Oankar. And so Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is in this sort of awestruck moment, saying, even all of this was done out of your hukum. Even all of this was done because of you, Ik Oankar. And we've talked about this idea throughout these now third week, these 3 weeks. This idea that sometimes can be hard to wrap our mind around, that while Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is criticizing the behavior of individuals and also calling to action those of us who are reading this body, he also leaves it within the framework of SikhRI, that everything that is occurring is within Vaheguru Sahib's hukum. And that pull between those two different ideas is something that's very interesting and something that we will have to reflect on in our own lives, what that means for us. This next slide is really interesting. According to scholars, the Lodi dynasty used a lot of magicians and fortune tellers and soothsayers who had promised the Lodi emperor that they would do magic spells and that they would make the Mughals blind and the Mughals would not be able to attack. And this line here, Kine na parcha laya. The parcha is a parchi, which means a piece of paper. So a piece of paper in the Indian tradition here refers to a piece of paper that has a magic spell written on it. This is how people generally do magic in South Asia. You write something on a piece of paper, and then it has this power. And Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying here, all of these peers, all of these holy men, all of these magicians, all of these people who said they were so powerful spiritually, were not able to stop Babar's advance. That all of the places, all of the houses, all of the princes were destroyed, cut piece by piece. The houses were burnt. Koi Mughal na hoa andha, and no Mughal became blind. One thing to keep in mind always when reading Bani is that even when Bani is referring to a historical event, which is rare, because most Bani does not, Almost like the vast majority does not. But even when it does, like in Babarvani, the body is still meant to be timeless and meant to apply to our lives and to the lives of any human being reading them in the future or the past or the present. And so the question is, what lesson do we get from this line? That all of this prayer and magic of these holy, so-called holy men didn't work to stop the Mughals. The lesson that I get from that is that just doing prayers, just saying thoughts and prayers after a tragedy, for example, is not enough. That just saying we will use our part, we will use our special powers, we will use our prayers to stop this negative thing from happening is never enough. That real change requires real action. And we must be careful here because in the Sikh tradition, we attach a lot of power to Bani. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. Bani is very powerful because Bani has the ability to transform us. Bani is a bodice, a philosopher's stone that can transform us from mere iron into gold, from something mundane into something divine. So Bani is very powerful. But Baba Banda Singh Bahadur could not have just sat in the dead with a bunch of Sikhs doing Part and doing Simran Vagyu Jap and expected the Mughal Empire to fall. That Nawab Kapoor Singh and the Khalsa of that time, the Dal Khalsa, could not have just sat there at Harmandir Sahib doing Part and expected the Afghani army to be stopped. That the body that they read and sing and imbibe and make a part of their every cell is the fuel for the actions that they are actually going out and doing. That's very important. That the body is not the way to stop the negative things in the world, that the body is a fuel or the inspiration for us to go out into the world and stop these negative things. To not think and not to fall into this trap that many religious traditions have fallen into, and I think Sikhs to some degree now as well, thinking that just doing Bart is enough, that just saying your prayers is enough, that that's enough of a way to change the world. But of course, if that was enough to change the world, then why would Guru Nanak Sahib have created this path? Why would the Gurus have sacrificed so much? Why would Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji have revealed the Khalsa? It doesn't make sense, of course. When we think about it in those terms, it's perfectly clear. And I'll give a very good example from contemporary times. I'll give an example of Sant Jarnail Singh from 1984. Those were a group of individuals who did a lot of Bart, who were doing Bart constantly, who were getting up early in the morning, who were connecting to Nam and Bani. But that didn't mean that they didn't take action. They were using that Nam and Bani to help them move forward and actually change the world. And Gursikhs like Surinder Singh Sodhi, by Manveer Singh Jehru, would listen to Part or Kirtan on their headphones when they were going out and committing acts in the name of the Panth. So that the Part was inspiring them to actually go out there and make real changes in the world and do the hard work that revolutions require. And that is really what Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying in these lines. from my opinion, that just sitting there and saying, okay, we're just going to do prayers, thoughts and prayers go out to you, and not actually going out and making a change isn't going to stop whatever bad thing is happening from happening. And that's why I think people get so frustrated why after every school shooting in America, people say thoughts and prayers. Because those thoughts and prayers aren't going to stop another school shooting from happening. There has to be real changes in the way that the country is structured in order for these school shootings not to happen again. And people understand that, and they're frustrated by people saying thoughts and prayers. It's the same idea here. The Lodi army was much bigger than the Mughal army. And according to some records, the Lodi army had 100 elephants, although I've read somewhere 1,000 elephants. It could be that many. They had all these war elephants. The Mughal army was much smaller, but the Mughal army had something that the Lodi army did not have, which was cannons and firepower, artillery. And they had mobile cannons that were on the back of bullock carts. And so the Mughals were able to destroy the elephant-led army of the Lodis because of their artillery, because of their cannons. And so Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying this, and this is another sort of historical piece of evidence that Guru Nanak Sahib Ji was witness to the battle, because our historical accounts show that this is what happened, that the Mughals had the guns, and the other side had elephants, and that the guns drove the elephants crazy and hurt the elephants and damaged the elephants, and that the elephants were of no use in the battle. That Lodi thought that his elephants would be enough to destroy any enemy, but it wasn't enough against the cannons of Babar. Jinki chiri dargeh pati, tinna marana pai. Here, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is talking about the idea of destiny or fate, which comes up in Bani quite often. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying that if your letter, meaning the account of your life, essentially, in a metaphorical sense, is already torn up in the court of Iqwa God, then your death has already happened and it's inevitable. Then you will be killed. And so Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is bringing it back to these core Sikhi ideas at the same time in this Shabad. One of these core ideas is that everything happens within the hukam of Akal Purkh Vaheguru. That every death of every individual was meant to happen according to Akal Purkh Vaheguru. As we've seen in the previous Shabads, one of Guru Nanak Sahib Ji's main focuses in Babarvani is the experience of women in battlefield, in war situations, in war zones. And here Guru Nanak Sahib Ji talks about 4 different types of women: a high caste Hindu, a Muslim woman, a Patti, and a Rajput woman. These are 4 different castes, 4 different groups, types of women. Ikna perin sir kurapate. Their robes were torn from head to toe. So Guru Nanak Sahib Ji here is using a euphemism for sexual assault, meaning if their clothes are torn from head to toe, it means that they've been made naked, meaning that they've been assaulted, and that their lives have been destroyed, and they are now sitting in the cremation grounds, sort of emotionally and physically scarred from what's happened to them. And even those who did survive these assaults and this attack if their loved ones didn't come home from the battle, how would their night have passed? How would our night have passed if our significant other or family member didn't come back at night and there had been a war? How would we feel? We would feel pretty devastated. Feel pretty worried. And now Guru Nanak Sahib brings it back in the last Pauri, the seventh Pauri, again to these core ideas of the Sikh tradition. Guru Nanak Sahib is asking, what's the point of even describing all this? Because you are everything and you're the one who knows everything. You made everything happen. You are the cause and the effect of all action. And so, what's the point of me even telling this? And that duk and suk are in your pane, in your pana. They're in your will. So, kiste jai ruaye, who should we cry in front of? Who should we complain to? Who should we scream out to? Who should we be angry at? When all of this is happening, both positive and negative, is happening because of you, Vaheguru. And Guru Nanak Sahib Ji ends the Shabad by saying, Hukmi hukam chalaye vigse, Nanak likhya paiye. Vigse is an interesting word. It means to blossom. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying, here how I understand this line is that the blossoming is a blossoming of the hukam. That everything that is meant to happen has happened, and we have received what was written down. And again, I know some of you might be saying, well, then, if this is what was written down, then what's the point of critiquing it? What's the point of Guru Gobind Singh Ji making the Khalsa and fighting back against these types of behaviors? And we have to again remember that the Guru wants us to accept what we cannot change, but also accept that we can make a change. Guru Sahib Ji wants us to make an effort in the world, but also accept that not all of our efforts will be fruitful. And I left the Rahau line to last. The Rahau line actually, if you look back, appears after the first Pauri, right there. After the first Pauri, it appears the Rahau line. But I wanted to leave the Rahau line to the end because it's the main message of the Shabad. E jag tera tu gosai. Gosai is an interesting word. It means master. It means someone that takes care of something. You are the master of this world. You are the caretaker of this world. In a second, you can make a being, you can top them, and you can atop them. Top atape. That you can make and destroy a being in an instant. And then you can divide up what wealth they had amongst other humans. So the Rahau line is reminding us that all of this wealth, all of these comforts, all of these wonderful things we have around us all the time, and those of us living in the developed world are pretty spoiled, that at any moment this could be gone. And you can see that, like with the LA wildfires. People living in some of the most expensive parts of the country had their homes destroyed in seconds. That they went from living in the lap of luxury to having nothing in seconds. That these things that we are obsessed with, that we work so hard for, that we exploit other beings for, can be gone without a moment's notice. And all of that which we have can be given to others. And Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, I think, leaves this line here for us to think and imagine and feel this idea of the starkness of what it means to be a human, to be able to, in a moment, lose everything, and in a moment, have everything given to you. And to understand that if one is obsessed with those material objects in that transaction, then you're going to suffer. But if one elevates oneself or removes oneself from those concerns, from those attachments, then regardless of what happens to all of that physical stuff, including your own body, it won't impact you. And that's what we see in the life of the Shaheeds, of course. So Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is very clear in this Shabad that wealth equals corruption. This brings up an interesting question. Is it possible to be a Gursikh? Is it possible to be a spiritual, religious, whatever word you want to use, person and be rich? That there are no favorites, that Vaheguru Sahib Ji can destroy anybody in a second. And that if we want to do prayers, that's really good, but without action, it's empty. So take action. Don't sit back and hope for change, but actually go out and make change. So these are the big ideas that I feel this Shabad is trying to relay. And with that, let's move on to the next Shabad and get it started so that we can finish it next week and then continue on with the larger discussion about how to apply Babarvani to our lives today, what we'll do next week. So let me read the fourth Shabad first. Unlike the earlier three Shabads, which were revealed in Rag Asa, this Shabad is revealed in Rag Tilang. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji says, Jaise mein aabe khasam ki bani, tesra kari gyan ve lalo. Paap ki janj le kablo hotaya, jodi mange daan ve lalo. Sarn tarv doy chap khloe, ਕੂੜ ਫਿਰੇ ਪਰਦਾਰ ਵੇ ਲਾਲੋ ਕਾਜੀਆ ਬਾਮਨ ਕੀ ਗਲ ਥੱਕੀ ਅਗਦ ਪੜੇ ਸੈਤਾਨ ਵੇ ਲਾਲੋ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨੀਆਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਖਸਮੇ ਕਰੇ ਖੁਦਾਏ ਵੇ ਲਾਲੋ ਜਾਤ ਸਨਾਤੀ ਹੋਰ ਹਿਦਾਵਣੀਆਂ ਏ ਪੀ ਲੇਖੇ ਲਾਏ ਵੇ ਲਾਲੋ ਖੂਨ ਕੀ ਸੋਇਲੇ ਗਾਵੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਰਤ ਕਾ ਕੰਗੂ ਪਾਏ ਵੇ ਲਾਲੋ. So we'll just read the first 40 here. This Shabad is a little different than the other three Shabads. There's no Rahau line, as you'll notice. Not all Shabads in Granth Sahib have a Rahau line. Most do, but not all. And that these are two very long stanzas instead of several smaller stanzas. So the Shabad is only two stanzas, but each stanza is made up of 8 lines the first one and 7 lines the second one. So much longer. We'll read the second 40 next time, but let's focus on the first 40 today. First of all, Guru Nanak Sahib is literally calling out somebody's name in the Shabad. He's saying Ve Lalo. Different scholars have different interpretations of what Lalo means. Some people hypothesize that the way that we say Hanji or Ha, people in parts of Afghanistan say Lalo. I'm not sure if this is accurate. And that this is Guru Nanak Sahib Ji putting sort of an emphasis on the lines. But the vast majority of scholars and historians agree that what is more likely is that this Shabad was actually directly spoken to Bhai Lalo, the Gursikh of Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, who Guru Nanak Sahib Ji met on his first travels, his first Udasi, who was a poor carpenter, didn't have a lot of possessions, but what little he had, he would share with those less fortunate than him, and he was committed to a life of seva. And Guru Nanak really loved Bhai Lalo and stayed with Bhai Lalo several times on his Udasis. On his first Udasi, and coming back from his third Udasi. So this 19th century painting shows Bhai Lalo on the left with his carpentry tools on the ground there, and Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana, Bhai Bala on the right. Guru Nanak Sahib starts this Shabad off with a real powerful statement, a real wow. He starts off the Shabad saying, Jaise me ave kasam ki bani, tesra kari gyan ve lalo. He said, everything I'm going to say now, Lalo, is not me saying it. Everything I'm going to say is coming directly from Akal Purkh Vaheguru. That as the Bani comes to me, I am saying it. And this is our belief of all Bani. But rarely does the Bani itself say this. And here Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is making it very clear that the words I'm going to say in the Shabad are not my own. I am merely the instrument of this divine will that is transmitting this information, but this is actually coming from Eko God. And this is very important because this Shabad has some really important lines in it. Why would Guru Nanak Sahib Ji make this emphasis? And you'll see in next week's class why he makes this emphasis. Because there is a line in the second body that will blow your minds. And then you'll be like, oh, how did Guru Nanak know that? And then you remember, oh, Guru Nanak said, I'm not saying any of this. This is coming from Akal Purkh. And then Guru Nanak Sahib gets into a very, very strong critique of Babar. And according to Sikh tradition, Guru Nanak Sahib said the Shabad with Bhai Lalo at his side to Babar directly. And he says that Babar is like the wedding party coming, but he is a wedding party of sin. Baap ki janj, coming from Kabul and demanding the gifts that the groom demands from the bride's family, the dowry. He's demanding the gift by force, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is saying. Meaning he has come to steal. He's coming like a wedding party of sin, and he's coming to steal. Now, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji lays the blame for this not just at Babar's feet. Yes, he calls Babar the wedding party of sin, but he also says that this society I'm in right now is so corrupt, so obsessed with wealth, so obsessed with displays of wealth, and so removed from morality that whatever has happened was brought on by themselves in a lot of ways. That sanam taram doi chap kaloe, that sense of shame and sense of righteousness have both stood in hiding. Why is shame used here in a positive sense? I understand this to be that shame means knowing a sense of right and wrong. That sense of right and wrong. So it's not shame in the sort of moralistic Christian sense of you should feel shame for your life because you're full of sin. Guru Nanak Sahib is saying shame here is like that idea of knowing right from wrong. That is in hiding. And when that's in hiding, when the people who know better don't do anything and they are in hiding, then who becomes the pradhan? Who becomes the chief? Who becomes the leader? Well, Kur becomes the leader. Falsehood, garbage, filth. That all of the talk of the Brahmins and the Qazis, the religious authorities of the Hindus and Muslims, none of it matters. And instead, it's as if Shaitan, Satan itself, is reading the nikah, sorry, which is the Muslim rite of marriage. And so it is as if Babar is this wedding party of sin, and Satan is reading the nikah. Guru Nanak Sahib is creating this grotesque imagery of this wedding that's all twisted and evil. That the Muslim women, and again bringing it back to the experience of women, as almost every one of these shabads does, that they are reading their religious books, and they're saying Khuda, Khuda, which is one of the Islamic words for Akal Purkh. And that the women, the Hindu women, both low caste and so-called low caste, so-called high caste, they are also suffering. So it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, it doesn't matter if you're poor, it doesn't matter if you're rich, all of the people are suffering. And that the marriage songs are songs of blood. Khoon ke soile gaviye Nanak. Rat ka kungu pai Bhai Lalo. And historically, especially in Punjab, they would sprinkle saffron onto the head of the groom and the bride before a wedding. And here Guru Nanak Sahib is saying instead of saffron, it is khoon, it is blood that is being sprinkled on them. Again, using this metaphor, this extended metaphor of this marriage that's really grotesque and evil. Just look at this powerful line. Sahib ke gun Nanak gave mas puri vich ak masolla. That in this town that I'm standing, you can imagine Guru Nanak Sahib standing there and just corpses all around. That in this situation, I am singing the virtues of Akal Purkh. That I'm sitting here looking at a Vaheguru that has created the world, has given it attachment to Maya, but now is sitting detached and separated from it. Because we believe that Akal Purkh Vaheguru is immersed in the world, but is not of the world at the same time. Meaning, everything we see, touch, feel, smell, everything we experience is Akal Purkh Vaheguru. But when all this dies, when the earth explodes, when the solar system gets wiped out, when the sun explodes, when the universe ends, when all of creation dies, Vaheguru does not die. That's very important to remember. That Vaheguru is immersed in creation, but Vaheguru is not contained by creation. Vaheguru is both transcendent and immanent in the Sikh idea, which is a unique position and not one that any other religious tradition has mixed into one sort of idea, like Sikhs do. So sorry, I had gotten into the second Pauri there without really thinking about it. Let's go back to this Khoon ke soile gaviye Nanak. The Guru Nanak is singing the soile, or that the soile of blood are being sung. So in this first Pauri, Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is describing this horrific wedding party, this horrific marriage taking place. And we can talk about why Guru Nanak Sahib Ji uses this metaphor of marriage. I think Guru Nanak Sahib Ji uses the metaphor of marriage because a marriage is a time of happiness, of joy, of bringing together of people, of bringing together of families. And this is the opposite of that in every way. So Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is using the allegory of marriage and twisting it to show something quite horrific happening, so that where everything that positive happens in a wedding, like the bringing together of a family, here families are being torn apart. Where songs of celebration are being sung, here songs of death are being sung, songs of blood are being sung. Where the priest, the mullah, leads the prayer, here Satan is leading the prayer. Where the wedding party comes and is celebrated by the bride's family, here the wedding party comes and is a party of sin and is not celebrated by the bride's family, but is instead attacked, attacks the bride's family. And so everything is backwards in this first party. So next time we will talk about the second party, which I already started a little bit. I apologize for that. I wasn't paying attention. I got a little wrapped up in reading the Bani. But we will talk about the second party in next week's class, and then we will do some wrap up on these 4 shabads all together. So let me stop sharing my screen and we can move on to the questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much again, Santbir Singh. I thought I was going to have to stop you if you went too far into the last story. It was like lovely to see you get so wrapped up in it, and I feel like everyone was also there with you, particularly in reference to like some of the questions that are being asked. I think next week we are going to do more of like an application to our current lives of like what we have been exploring this month, and some of those questions do touch on that. So yeah, maybe you can like answer those to the extent that feels good. But yeah, there's right now like 3 questions in the chat if we're ready to get started on that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, okay. So the first question is in reference to the third body. They ask, how does Akal Purukh's hukam get balanced against action? When to know where acceptance of a situation versus action against a situation.
Yeah, this is something we talked about last week as well. There is no clear answer that I can give because this is one of the central, not tensions, but maybe mysteries of our lives that needs to be experienced in the moment. Meaning, in every second of every action, we need to be fully accepting of hukam. But in every second of every moment, we also need to be acting to make ourselves and the world a better place. So we both have a call to action by the gurus through their behavior, through their bani, through their inspiration, to work towards a better world. At the same time, we are told that this working towards a better world has to occur while we are accepting hukam at all moments, at all times. And this seems really difficult to pull off. And the reason why it seems so difficult to pull off is because it is not an intellectual problem. We're looking at it like it's an intellectual problem. We're looking at it like it's a puzzle that needs to be solved. But it's not. In the end, and Sardar Kapoor Singh writes about this quite beautifully in his works, the world around us is phenomenon. We can smell, touch, hear, taste it. We can use our 5 senses to experience it. Akalpurk Vaheguru is outside of the bounds of phenomenon. Vaheguru cannot be touched, cannot be tasted, cannot be smelled, cannot be heard, cannot be seen. So everything that we think is real in this world has an underlying matrix below it that is a real reality, which is Akalpurk Vaheguru, and we just don't see it on our day-to-day lives because we don't understand how to experience it. We're trying to experience the world through our senses, whereas Bani is challenging us to experience the world through our hearts, to experience the world through our connection to Vaheguru. What does that look like? we can look at the lives of Gursikhs, we can look at the lives of Shaheeds and the Guru Sahibs to see a glimpse of how this is put into practice. So let's look at some examples right now. Let's look at Maipago, Mata Pagor. She didn't need to act. When those 46 came back from Anandpur, having ran away, she could have welcomed her family back and been happy that they survived. But she acted instead, put her life in danger. If she had died in that battle of Muqsad, she would not have died angry that the Guru got her killed. She would not have died being like, oh my God, I should not have done what I did. She would have died in acceptance of what had happened to her. So she has acted to make the world a better place, but she's also accepting what fate may give her, whether she lives or dies. She's thankful regardless. And it's that being thankful regardless, which is core to the Sikh idea. That regardless of whether an experience is positive or negative, that we are always thankful for it. Is that easy? No, it's not easy. Very few beings can do that. It is something that we can aspire to and work towards. I'm not here to criticize another religious tradition, but I just want to give an example to show how remarkable it is, how remarkable our gurus are. Because sometimes growing up in a Sikh tradition, we don't understand how really special Sikhi is sometimes. When Jesus was nailed to the cross, he cried out to God and said, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me? He's been horribly tortured in immense physical pain. And his very natural response in that moment is to say, God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you forgotten me? Let's compare that to a guru. Let's compare that to Guru Arjan Sahib Ji Maharaj, who has been brutally tortured, does not cry out, does not say, Vaheguru, why have you forsaken me? Instead, says, Vaheguru, thank you for this moment. Can we be thankful even in those moments? Even when our lives are falling apart? Even when our lives are ending? Even when we're in intense physical, emotional pain? Can we be thankful in those moments? I don't know a lot of us who can be, but that is what we're striving for, because that is what the Guru did. The Guru was thankful even in those moments. So what that means, of course, is that Guru Arjan Sahib Ji is living in a sense of complete pana, complete acceptance of hukum, that every second of every breath, every minute action that they are taking is done in acceptance of hukum. And this is why Sikhs believe that our gurus are perfect. Because when you are so in tune with hukum, when you are so connected to Vaheguru, then the boundary between you and Vaheguru ceases to meaningfully exist. There's no real difference between the two anymore. And you could say, oh, well, that's Guru Arjan Sahib Ji. Maybe it's not fair to compare somebody to Guru Arjan Sahib Ji. Well, let's compare it to a Sikh. Let's compare it to a very famous Sikh like Bhai Singh. Bhai Singh, who was cut up piece by piece, and who, according to all traditions, never cried out, and in fact did the opposite and said, if you're going to cut me limb by limb, joint by joint, don't start at my wrists, start at my fingers. and cut every joint from there. I often ask people, why do you think Bhai Mani Singh did that? Why do you think Bhai Mani Singh asked for more pain, asked for more torture? Was he trying to prove a point? And this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think when I think about that moment, I think about Bhai Mani Singh's hand and I think about the hand of the executioner. And I can guarantee you that Bhai Mani Singh's hand was steady and that the hand of the executioner, who was being told by this person he's about to kill in this horrific way, that no, start of my fingers, that his hand is shaken, not Bhai Mani Singh's. That he is disturbed, not Bhai Mani Singh. And so that's what acceptance of hukum can bring you, that level of dignity and grace, even in a situation where all dignity and grace have been stolen from you. To be able to live in large, what's the word I'm looking for? To be able to live in sovereignty, in Bathshahi, even in a moment of intense degradation and dehumanization. So this is what Guru Nanak Sahib Ji is challenging us in these Shabads. He's saying, listen, these horrific things are going to happen all the time. The question is, how do you respond to them? Do you cry out? Do you say, poor me? Or do you connect to Akal Purkh Vaheguru? And are you thankful even for this moment? And saying that Guru Arjan Sahib Ji is thankful for the Shahidi doesn't mean he sought out the Shahidi. Doesn't mean he wanted it to happen. Doesn't mean that he gave up his life for no reason. Doesn't mean that he didn't live a life of action for his rest of his life. In fact, he did. He built Harmandir Sahib, he built Tarn Taran Sahib, he built Kartarpur Sahib, the second Kartarpur Sahib. He created Guru Granth Sahib Ji, he built the Harmandir Sahib complex. So Guru Arjan Sahib Ji did perhaps more than any other Guru in his life in a lot of ways. Maybe Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh Ji notwithstanding. And he did all of these things. So he was a life of action, a life of making a difference in the world. And yet, also in that moment when he needed to be completely accepting of the end of his life as well. So I can't give you a straightforward answer on this. I apologize, but I think that this is something that we all need to learn to experience. How to accept hukum every second of every day, and then how to also be inspired to create change in the world. And accepting hukum in every second of every day sounds so overwhelming. How does that look? How does that work? How do you get to that stage? The answer in Bani is very straightforward. You do Simran. And what does the word Simran mean? It means to remember. And what does remember mean? It means to keep Vaheguru in your consciousness. So however that looks, if you can keep that Ik Onkar in your consciousness, if you can concentrate on that Ik Onkar, then it doesn't matter what's happening around you. But it also doesn't stop you from changing the world as well. So yeah, sorry for the lack of a clear answer, but there's never going to be a clear answer on this question. This is something that all of us have to work to experience and come to an understanding of these lines on our own.
Thank you, Santbir Singh. I think, yeah, like as you said, this is like a starting point, and we'll continue this conversation next week and beyond, of course. I think the questions that we have are quite like kind of in a similar area, but I will ask the next one. A viewer shares, I liked how you explained, yes, pray, but also be proactive or engage in action. But they still struggle with people asking them, oh, please say ardas for me so that I get this or that. because so often these kinds of requests go at the expense of other people. For example, how can I ask Guruji to give one person a certain job when it means somebody else will not get that job? That should really be at the discretion of Guru Sahib. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Yeah, if there's anything you can share. This person also says that usually they are honest with them and say that they will do an ardas to have the strength for that person to have the strength to handle anything that comes their way.
Yeah, I think that might not be the answer the person wants to hear, but that's the answer that we need to give. Is that you're right. If you're asking for this person to get this job, then someone else isn't getting it. If you're asking for this team to win a match, then someone else is not winning it, right? If you're if both teams are praying to Vagnu to win a match, and we're in the NHL playoffs right now in Canada, and so people are all they can think about is hockey. Is like if your team's praying to win, well, then that means the other team's going to lose. Are they less worthy of winning just because your team wants to win? Just because you want your team to win? Can you do ardas for someone else? I believe you can. We're getting sort of a little off topic here, but I believe you can do ardas for someone. I think ardas is very powerful and very meaningful and has a lot of strength behind it. And it's one of those really deeply personal and inspiring parts of a Sikh's life. So I believe you can do ardas for someone. I think a heartfelt ardas for someone has power. But it is not first of all, it is not a solution when action is required. Secondly, one should not be doing ardas for someone at the expense of someone else. An ardas should always be, and there's nothing wrong in asking Vaheguru for things. This is very clear in Bani. We have a Shabad of Bhagat Sen and a Shabad of Bhagat Kabirji, where they ask, sorry, Bhagat Tanna and Bhagat Kabirji, I apologize. We have a Shabad of Bhagat Kabirji and a Shabad of Bhagat Tanna, where they ask for the basic necessities of life. Dal Siddha Mango Kyo, Hamni Kushi Karene Jiyo. That Bhagat Tanna asks, I would need dal, I need kyo, I need a place to sleep, I need a partner. These are the basic things I need to live my life. And my guru, if I'm not going to ask from you, who else am I going to ask from? That's fine to ask my guru for these things. But Bhagat Tanna also is happy with whatever guru gives him. He's not expecting more and more and more. He's not saying, okay, well, I got this. Now, could it not have been this instead? Could it have been something better? So, first of all, the real ardas underneath the ardas for asking for stuff, the real ardas that all of us should be doing, both for others and for ourselves, is the ardas of accepting bana, the ardas of accepting hukum. And that's the most challenging thing in this life. It really is. I think sometimes of the power of our shaheeds, and I wonder, how were they able to do that? Look at Banda Singh Bahadur. They took his baby, cut his baby open, and took his baby's heart and stuffed it into Banda Singh Bahadur's mouth. It's horrific just to think about it. Now, I have a child the same age as uh, Ajay Singh, which was Banda Singh Bahadur's son's name. If someone killed Garja Singh in front of me, I don't know how I would survive. So that level of acceptance of Bana is really incredible and only can come through ardas. It can only come through asking Guru Sahib Ji for strength, for righteous thinking, for vivek and buddhi. It's only through that wisdom that is granted by Guru that we can achieve that level of acceptance of Bana, acceptance of hukum. It is not something that we can imagine into existence or think into existence. That's not how it works. But that is the challenge that Guruji is asking of us. And it is a difficult challenge. And we will all in our lives be tested on it, whether some of us are being tested on it right now or in the future. You will have, or someone close to you will have, a terminal illness. You or someone close to you will be injured. You or someone close to you will suffer emotional pain. And in any of those situations, we have to ask ourselves, could we stay connected to Vaheguru, and could we not complain? Could we be accepting of the situation? And again, at the same time, not accepting of inequality, not accepting of harms in society, but accepting of what is personally happening to us in a moment. Yeah.
Thank you, Santbir Singh. I think the last question we'll touch on today asks about, again, kind of this like program and change action, best kind of not binary or dichotomy, but these two things. So this person asks, this may not have an answer, but when do we know when to act to change and when to accept, especially when there's suffering and wanting that suffering to end?
It's a difficult question. Sometimes people say like natural disasters aren't evil. Natural disasters just are nature happening. But the impact of a natural disaster can demonstrate evilness. And I'll give an example. An earthquake in Japan will kill many less people than an earthquake did in Haiti, for example. Why was an earthquake in Haiti so much more damaging? Because there were not proper building codes. There was not proper infrastructure. Because of colonialism and neocolonialism uh, and institutional racism, Haiti was starved. Haiti has been exploited for generations. And Haiti did not have the infrastructure or the means to be able to build buildings, to build infrastructure that can withstand an earthquake. And so, yes, we have to be accepting that an earthquake happens and that people are going to die in it. But we also have to be like, okay, we can mitigate this harm if we work towards making society more equitable. We can make a more safe society so that when these harms occur, less people are hurt by them. So even when accepting something as arbitrary as an earthquake, there is still room in there for action. There's a lot of room for action. Because, of course, these things do not exist in a vacuum. They exist because of human action and behavior has caused certain things to be amplified and certain things to be mitigated. And so a flood in Pakistan is going to kill a lot more people than a flood in America because America has infrastructure and rescue vehicles and uh, systems in place to rescue people, and Pakistan doesn't have those resources. And that doesn't mean that the people in Pakistan deserve to die more than the people in America. It means that we've created a world society where people in Pakistan's lives don't matter as much as the people's lives in America matter. And that is not something that Vaheguru did, that's something that human beings did. So there's always room for action. There's always room for action. There's always room for making the world a better place. My favorite example of this is Bhagat Pooran Singh. Now, most of us will have heard of Bhagat Pooran Singh. I will know that Bhagat Pooran Singh started the Pingawala Trust to care for the deeply disabled and marginalized people in society. But what some of us may not know is that Bhagat Pooran Singh was also a great environmentalist and was speaking about climate and the environment decades before anyone else was in India at the time, or really around the world. And one thing that Bhagat Pooran Singh would do is that wherever he would go, when he would walk around Amritsar, he would pick up garbage wherever he saw it and stuff it into his pocket. And those of you who have been to India know that there's garbage everywhere. That people are just throwing plastic and stuff away all over the place. And so someone asked him, like, Pooran Singh, there's so much garbage everywhere. What's the point of what you're doing? What are you doing with yourself? Like, why are you wasting your time? There's no way you can make an impact in this. And Bhagat Pooran Singh's response was so simple and sweet and straightforward that it's just stuck with me my whole life. And his response was, when I get to Dargah, when I get to the court of Vaheguru, I'm not going to be asked, what did other people do? I'm going to be asked, what did you do? Que tu ki kita si, Pooran Singh? And that's the question. There's always room for action. There's always room to try to make the world a better place. And that's our responsibility. And even if no one else is doing it, it's still our responsibility. That Guru Nanak Sahib in this city of corpses is still willing to call out the truth and sing the Bani of Akalpurk. Are we able to have that level of commitment to the truth as our Guru? Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Santbir Singh. Just to wrap things up, on behalf of SikhRI, I thank Santbir Singh and our e-Sangat today. Thank you all for tuning in, engaging, for spending time with us. And please join us next week for the final session, which will focus on this last Shabad of Babarvani that we began, along with real-world application. And lastly, as always, don't forget to tune into the SikhCast, a podcast produced by SikhRI, where we explore the various issues and events affecting Sikhs worldwide. Thank you for joining in today. Today's webinar will be ending now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.